Joe presents TKO, together with 32 Red.
Welcome to TKO on Joe, together with 32 Red. We're a podcast and YouTube show with you every Thursday. This week, our guest is rising US star Devin Haney, who's just moved to 23-0 following a stoppage win over Russian Vasyl Abdullayev a couple of weeks ago. Still just 20 years of age, he's now the mandatory challenger for the lightweight king, Vasyl Lomachenko. Pleasure to have you here with us. I know you've had a very busy week in the UK, lots of interviews, lots of travelling, and you sparred yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah. First off, thank you for having me. My schedule has been, crazy busy since I've been here. I've been getting a lot of love. A lot of people, have been embracing me while I've been here. And yesterday I sparred with Ricky Burns at the Matchroom gym, and it was great. It was great.
20 years of age, we were saying on the way here. But if you looked at your CV and everything that you've achieved, you've almost fit like 12, 15 years of experience into those last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. It's been an unbelievable journey. The last 12 months, obviously you've had a huge breakthrough and it's been great to see you doing so well. Does it feel like you've lived a lot more than 3 or 4 years in the pro game?
It feels like I lived a lot longer just in life than I have. I feel much older, much more mature, but I'm only 20.
It feels like he's been around a long time as well. And I think it's probably because people have been talking about him for so long. So, 20 years old, I turned pro at 22. I didn't box for a world title until I was 26, and you're just about to do it already.
Yeah, definitely.
It's insane.
I mean, the story, people are starting to hear a little bit more of it now. I'm on one of these boxing nerd forums, and I can remember your name being mentioned, and I went back because I can remember the guy who I'm still friends with saying this kid's putting stuff on YouTube, and I'd watched 2 or 3 of your fights, and then obviously missed about 15, and then heard your name again when you signed for Matchroom. And obviously, the story will start from the kind of beginning. A lot of it's to do with the relationship between you and your dad. You started boxing very, very young. First amateur about 8 years of age. At what point did it become for you something that was going to be more than a sport? When did it become, this can be my career?
When I first started boxing, I was playing football at the time, and I didn't really like boxing. I liked boxing because I liked to fight, but boxing wasn't as fun as football, because when you're young, you're 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, you're still coming up. It's a team sport, football, and you get to see your friends, and it's just more fun. Boxing is a lonely sport even to this day. So coming up, I didn't really like. It wasn't my favorite, and then as I got older, I started to grow into it and started to like it more, and to the point where I said, you know what, I don't even want to play football anymore. I just want to box. So at that age, I was about, I want to say 10 or 11 when I decided I was just gonna just box. And then when I started getting really serious is about age 13 to 14 is when I really started just dedicating myself and really starting to really focus in and realize that that this will be my career.
Because in the gym, right, you know as well as I do, when you go in, you see some kids that have gone in there for the first time. Some kids have just got something when they're learning and they pick stuff up. And remember, people always talking about Amir Khan and how quickly he acquired skills. You teach him something, but you've got to have the dedication and the commitment to go with that natural talent.
My old amateur coach will kind of tell you that you probably know from the first week if a kid can do something, because although they've never boxed before, they have just the fundamentals, and they can move, and they're just real sportsmen and athletes. And you can tell that pretty early on. As a kid, he will say he can kind of tell it about me. I'm pretty sure you could tell it from Devin.
They said that about you, didn't they?
Yeah. My first day in the gym, I trained with a guy named Derek Harmon. He was a fighter. He fought Roy Jones. He fought in some big fights or whatever. He told me that I was a natural on my first day. So.
Wow. Okay. So from there, your dad has been, you can't obviously see your dad, but he's your mentor, he's your friend. He's guided your career to the point that you're at now. So you've gone through the kind of amateur system. You had over 180 amateur. 138.
I had 138 amateur fights.
Right. Okay. And you only lost like 5 or 6, right?
8. I lost.
Okay. 8, yeah. Fine. So I mean, that's a serious record. But you're starting to get to the point where, as an amateur at the top of the game, you have to look at the Olympic cycle, and you have to say, well, am I going to stick it out for this Olympic cycle? Am I going to move to the next one? Now, before we get to that point, we were just speaking to your dad off camera before the show. You guys actually came to London for the Olympic Games in 2012. What do you remember of the Games?
I remember that. Well, I went to go watch Clarissa Shields fight for the gold. That's all I really remember of the actual games. But I was in London for a whole month, so I was training here at the Peacock gym.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot about that part, but not too much of the games.
Were you part of like because in the UK we've got the Elite Institute of Sport in Sheffield, where if you're part of the amateur setup, you kind of are based there full time. Any point of your career, were you at like the US sort of training centre full time?
Yeah. At one point, I was there more than I was even home. I was there. I was at the Olympic Training Center for months at a time, training in Colorado Springs, traveling all over Russia, Italy, Dominican Republic, fighting all over to prepare to go to the Olympics.
Okay. Because at the time, obviously, Shakur Stevenson, fast forwarding 4 years, was at Rio, was a silver medalist at Rio. Mm-hmm. Was it Carlos Balderas? Would he been your weight division?
Yeah, he went 132. Yeah.
So at that time, were you thinking, I'm going to try and qualify for the games? Was that in your remit?
By that time, I was already professional at that time of the Olympics. I had already had quite a few. But
the reason you turned over was because obviously the head guards were taking off.
Yeah.
But in sort of like 14, 15, were you looking towards Rio and thinking?
Of course. Like I said, I was fighting overseas. I was preparing to go to the Olympics. But once I got the news that I wasn't able to, and it was for sure that that they were taking the head gears off, they're bumping the age up. I said, what sense does this make? I'm gonna be fighting some of the best fighters in the world with no headgear for nothing. It made no sense.
Mm. The decision then has to be: do you wait around for the next Olympics, or do you try and crack the pro game pretty early on? And obviously, the decision looks like it's about to be right. You're on the verge of fighting for a world title before the next Olympics even come around.
Yeah.
The difficulty of being a fighter in the US, right? It's in the UK, boxing's huge here, but it also competes with virtually football, rugby, cricket, but they're much smaller sports to compete with, given what you have to compete with in the US, and you've got such a huge sort of massive land to try and make your name known. So in the UK, once you've got a city behind you, you can actually build a good profile. Whereas for you in the US, it's like, where do I possibly start? You've got no Olympic pedigree, you've got no real profile. So you actually were one of the pioneers of this kind of YouTube movement.
Exactly.
But how did you know that this would work? How did you predict that this is going to work?
I really didn't know. Just first it just started off with just posting like videos, just regular videos, like me training and stuff like that. Just the average thing, just putting it out on Instagram, YouTube, just regular stuff that the average kid would probably do. Like, my little brother is thinking about putting videos of him playing the game. I was just posting videos of me training, and then it just started to buzz a little bit more, and then people started just like seeing like my crazy combinations on the mitts with Floyd Sr. and crazy sparring sessions, and then people just started just to look into it.
So you live in Vegas, but how did you first get the link up with Floyd Sr. and the Mayweathers?
When I was young, Floyd Sr. came to a gym that I was training at, and then that's when me and my dad met him, and then him and my dad spoke, and then over the years, my dad, just started taking me to. My dad would take me to Floyd Sr.'s house when I was really young. He would take me to his house to train, and then, but at that time he didn't really have much patience for me because I was so young, and I would, days off and not listen to some of the things. So he said, "Come back when I was older." So when I got older, my dad took me back to him, and then that's basically how I started working with him.
Because his influence stylistically on you is really obvious. Watching the Abdullah fight as well, you can see the Philly shell. For me, like there's arguments as to who kind of created it. People talk about Georgie Benton, but for me, the best example of how to use the Philly shell is Floyd. It's flawless in his use. He's only really been caught a handful of times clean in his whole career. Remember the Shane Mosley fight in round 2, but it's a style that a lot of young US fighters try to put into their game plan, but not a lot of them use well. But you actually are one of the people that's coming through that actually understands the mechanics of how to use the Philly shell. Yeah. I guess the Mayweathers have been like crucial in helping you understand that, right?
Yeah, definitely. The Mayweathers have install that in me. But one thing, my dad was like, he really was the main one that he was like, you need to learn this now. You need to, because this opportunity is not gonna always be around for you to be able to, train with Floyd Sr, train with Roger. Like as a Roger now, I can't train with him because, he's getting sick and stuff like that. So he said this opportunity is not gonna always be around. So get it while you can and buy into it now. So that's pretty much what I did. It would be times when guys would spar me with 8-ounce gloves, and my dad would tell me, you do the shoulder roll, you have to do it, you have to do it, you have to do it, and it stuck with me now.
It's a dangerous style as well, and you have to be able to do it well, or you get knocked out.
Well, I hate to say, you look at Anthony Yard with Kovalev.
Yeah.
You can't just stand in that position and expect not to get hit. You have to roll at the right time. You have to understand what you're doing and where your hands are.
One of the best ones, and it wasn't a guy who ever had this style, but the knockout Frotch against Groves, where Groves tried to roll away, and it's not his style at all. He's probably never tried to do it ever in his life, and Frotch put him to sleep.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to do it perfectly, and obviously Devin can.
It's really cool when you see young fighters who've been influenced by some of the greats of whatever era. But another man who I know you work with is Mike McCallum, and I was looking at that kind of whipping long right to the body that you throw. It's quite an unusual shot. And the other thing that's impressive is younger fighters tend to neglect going to the body, especially early, because you see a lot of guys, they're hungry, they're young, they want to make a statement, and they headhunt because they think that's what you should be doing. You want to make a statement to the crowd, but you have so much patience for a guy that's 20 years of age. I know you've got a lot of amateur experience, you've had a lot of professional fights, but you're 20. And to have the mindset to go in and be able to pick shots to the body, to sell shots with your eyes downstairs, go upstairs, all those things that take, better than anyone, years and years of practice. Even at 20.
I would fall into a trap, and that's what I liked about your last performance. I would fall into a trap sometimes where you think you have to please the crowd. And you just went about your work. It was like your job was perfect, and it was a hurtful job. You took your time, you were patient, and you got rid of him in the middle. I remember thinking, at 20 years old, would I have been able to do that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that's what's frightening about it, and that's what's exciting. You're 20 years old, you've still got 15, possibly 20 years left in this game.
Definitely.
I think the sky is your limit.
Is it quite surreal for you, all of this still? Because this has been your year where you've burst through the bubble and everyone knows who you are and everyone wants to talk to you, everyone wants to interview you. Yeah. I know you've done a lot of interviews, but are you still at points, in the last 12 months, just going, what is happening with my life?
No, yeah, definitely. This is all a dream come true. Everything is falling into place, and this was my breakout year. This is the year that everything that I dreamed of finally came true.
So how did you make contact, or how did Eddie Hearn make contact with you? What was the first point that you and your dad knew that there was a chance that you would sign with Matchroom?
Well, the first time Eddie ever heard anything from Eddie DM'd me on Twitter, and he just said congratulations on one of my fights or anything, and I just told him thank you. And then after that, somehow I don't really remember how how exactly happened, but they reached out to my dad, and then it just went into negotiations from there.
And were you and your dad's? Remember those first conversations where you just guys going, this might be it?
What's kind of crazy is, at that time it was weird because I was getting offers from everyone, literally everyone was offering at the same time. So it was one day would be this person, and then the next day would be this person, and then the next day would be this person. I'd be like, Dad, are you serious? Damn. And he would really wake me up every day and be like, oh, well, this person called today or this person called today. So it was just crazy.
Okay. So you signed the deal, you've now moved to 23-0. We'll come on to your current position a little bit. I think the other thing that's impressive, and again, we keep mentioning your age, but it is the kind of foresight that you seem to have in understanding how important marketing yourself is. Because especially as far as Eddie's concerned, Eddie needs to know that a fighter can fight, but as importantly, in 2019, he needs to know that they can sell a ticket.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's what people forget. It's really important, for a fighter's profile, but to keep a promoter happy as well, and to keep the public happy that are paying to watch your fights. I think it's very important. But Eddie, he's one of the top promoters in the world. He knows what he's doing. It's different in the UK because, like you said earlier on, when you're from a city like me, Belfast, the whole city gets behind me and they back me because boxing's such a love sport and they all love it. But you've got so many other sports to compete with. This is where Eddie Hearn will be, you know, it'll be worth it. It'll have to be worth it. He'll need to pump everything behind you and promote you and make you the star that you can be.
Okay, we'll be back with more from Devin Haney in just a few moments' time. Right now, though, here's news of something brand new on Joe with John Amaechi.
My day job is helping businesses thrive through disruption. This show is not about business. It's about people who go from nothing, a seed of an idea, something that everybody thinks is completely impossible, and build it into this massive business. There are 1,000 different ways to be a huge success. One of the most interesting things that we're learning is that how people are failing is almost as important as how they succeed. In fact, it's integral. It's business. Pioneers is having really honest conversations with people, talking about their business, their objectives, their purpose, whether they're just out to make a ton of money and then quit, or whether they really want to change the world. Pioneers on Joe. Listen to it, download it, watch it. I had nothing profound to say.
You've been watching Pioneers, together with Open Money. Manage it, save it, invest it.
Okay, back here on TKO with rising US star Devin Haney. You're now, potentially months away from your first world title shot. I know there's a few things that have got to happen in order for that to fall into place, but it's there now, and you're on that cusp. And it's interesting because you could suddenly become a world champion at such a young age, and then potentially, as you say, have got 10, maybe 15 years left in the game. So it's then about, how do I build this into a huge brand? How do I become a global star? What is it that you think you have that some of the other stars of the sport, say Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, what do you think you have, or even have the potential to have, that those guys haven't got?
I feel like it's a lot of great fighters. A lot of fighters can fight, and that's only one part, as we know. But me being 20 years old, that's just like a lot within. Like I feel like I can attract the young crowd as well as the older crowd as well. And I just feel like I have that it factor that other fighters don't have. Because obviously there's a couple of your rivals, right? Ryan Garcia has had a similar kind of path to you. Again, he's big on the social media platforms, Instagram and YouTube. I think, I know your thoughts on what would happen if those guys met. I mean, you beat him twice in the amateurs. But again, he's somebody that just off that profile alone is doing very, very well. So it's proof that the market and the game is changing, certainly. Of
course it is. Without being disrespectful to Garcia, I said it off air and here to you that I don't think that's a fight for you. I think it's a comfortable win. I think that we're already linking Devin with guys like Lomachenko, who he's mandatory for now. Another really exciting fight, I think, would be the Gervonta Davis fight at some point in the future. Yes. So these are the top guys in and around them weight divisions, and that's who we're talking about Devin fighting. Not Garcia yet. Maybe Garcia can keep building the profile. Obviously, he's got a massive online following, but
it's not everything, is it?
It's not everything. It's not everything.
You sparred Teofimo Lopez as well, haven't you? Yes. How long ago was that?
Maybe like a year.
Okay.
A year, yeah.
And was that the first time you'd sparred together?
Yeah, that was the first time.
And the last time?
We sparred twice.
Okay.
We sparred twice, like we sparred like on a Monday and like maybe like a Wednesday.
That's often what happens,
or
isn't
like
it?
a Wednesday and like a Wednesday and like a Friday, something like that.
Okay. So did his team bring you in for sparring? Did they contact you directly, or?
Yeah, they reached out to us to they wanted to spar, and that was.
How was it?
It was good work. He went on. He kind of made a name off of me. He went to the world saying that he stopped me and that he beat me up and all these crazy things that never happened. And when I heard it, I was like, I thought that it was just like trolls, like people were just like making up stuff for like clickbait.
Yeah.
But when he was actually saying, I couldn't believe it because it was not the case at all.
Wow.
In fact, he really couldn't hit me that much, and he was getting really frustrated. He was throwing like all like these wild punches, and he couldn't hit me, so he was getting really frustrated. And then we sparred again, and pretty much the same thing happened. But you know, it's boxing. And
I don't like to ask about sparring and how spars go, but they brought you into camp and they asked you to spar. You sparred them twice on whatever, a Wednesday or a Friday. This will probably be able to answer the question without asking the question. Did he ever invite you back for sparring?
No, he never invited me back.
Yeah.
You know,
the second time, he didn't even say bye to me.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't say bye. Like he just left after the gym.
So after you read those comments, did you ever like reach out to him or?
Yeah. We saw, me and my dad saw him at the fight, at a fight, and my dad spoke to his dad, and his dad said that he was just doing it like just to build a fight up. Like he was just like trying to build a fight, because at this time nobody really knew about Teofimo Lopez. Like he didn't break out yet, so not a lot of people knew about him. But he kind of made a name off of me.
How do you feel about that? Like, because it's something that would annoy me. I know obviously people try to build fights and stuff, but when it's just bullshit and they're telling lies.
Yeah, like.
How do you feel about that?
When it first was going on, like I hated him. Like I really didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
But then I realized that, you know, it's boxing and these things happen, which and it, you know, it comes with the territory. So as I got older, I just was like, oh, it's okay. Like one day, hopefully, we make the fight happen, and I show the world.
I think I'm sitting in a room with two guys that have probably got a better record against Mexicans than anyone outside of Mexico. You were like 6 from 7 or 5 from 6, I think, aren't you? And I've done the research.
Like that,
yeah, something like that. I've done it before. I mean, you've won plenty of fights against Mexicans. I'm interested to know your plans going forward, because the Floyd Mayweather model in his later part of his career was so successful because he tapped into the huge fan bases on Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day, 16th of September, and he fought a number of guys. You think of likes of Marcos Maidana twice, Canelo Alvarez, Robert Guerrero, Juan Manuel Marquez, Miguel Cotto, all of those guys, and he made something like 13 million views in total just from those guys alone. That's not including Pacquiao, the McGregor fights. Given that you're so used to fighting Mexicans, you've been out there, you've done it, is that something that you think you may take advantage of when the time is right, when you've got those belts and you're starting to tap into trying to become a pay-per-view star?
Yeah, I feel like, that's what sells, right? Like, that's what the fans like to see, the Mexican versus the American, or, you know, that's like the Puerto Rican versus... that's just what sells, and of course I'm gonna try to tap in.
That's when the promoter becomes worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
And Eddie will obviously do the job, and you know we've guys like Devin who potentially you need big names. It's Canelo, that's Canelo's date at the minute. So, you know, potentially it will be Devin's date at some point in the future.
Because it's interesting, when you become that crossover star, for Mayweather it was the Oscar De La Hoya fight, another guy with Hispanic roots. Canelo, I mean, he of course had so many fights before he really broke onto the mainstream stage. He lost that marquee fight against Floyd.
Yeah.
If you were to get a fight against someone like Vasyl Lomachenko, and let's say hypothetically, let's say you lost on points, that's not the worst thing in the world for a 20-year-old to go and lose to arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. For Canelo Alvarez, it was the same thing, and it actually made him the fighter that he is 4 years on.
Yeah, people have probably forgot about the Canelo and Mayweather fight. A lot of them have. It was so long ago, and Canelo, in my opinion, well, in everyone's opinion, is the #1 guy in the division.
He learned so much from that.
In boxing, not the division, in boxing at the minute.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget Lomachenko lost as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it was early in his career, so they give it a pass. And one thing about me, what I've been saying is, I'm not afraid to lose. I'm willing to fight the top guys to entertain the fans and, you know, make the best fights happen. If I lose, I'm a man. I could take a loss. I'm okay with that. But I do want to fight those top guys, because me personally, I believe that I can beat them, and I will beat them.
That's the type of attitude I like to see, because I think that's what's missing from a lot of boxers. You want to take risks and understand it needs to be important, and everyone involved need to understand that a loss isn't the end of someone's career. If you're in a fight and you've put everything on the line and you've lost, maybe a close decision, doesn't mean the end of your career. What you have to do and what has to be important is you're in exciting fights, and I think you're going to be in exciting fights.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you sparred some of the best in the world, Sean Porter, Floyd Mayweather. How many rounds have you done with Floyd?
I sparred Floyd once, and we did 6 rounds, 6 5-minute rounds.
And how did you find it?
Oh, it was great. It was a wonderful experience. I'm thankful for him to give me that experience, especially towards the end of his career when he didn't have to. That's something a story that I can tell for the rest of my life. You know, me being able to spar Mayweather is like someone, playing basketball, seeing that they got to play Michael Jordan 1-on-1. So, that was a dream come true.
How old were you?
18.
Wow.
Did he take liberties, or is he okay? Does he
take what?
When I say take liberties, so is he trying to?
Oh yeah, yeah, he was. he was trying to go he was going like his everything on me, but it was good competitive sparring.
Okay. Was that in the build up to? Was that the McGregor?
McGregor fight? Yeah.
It was
McGregor
okay.
fight.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I was at it. It was bizarre the amount of people that thought Conor McGregor was going to win that fight.
Yeah.
It was just insane. I was at it. I just went for a mad weekend.
They sold the fight.
Of course
like
they
crazy.
did. I don't think McGregor ever believed he was even going to get close.
Yeah.
The next day he was like, "We've had a good time." Yeah. What's the kind of the most valuable advice you've learned from Floyd?
I've learned so much from him. Floyd's taught me, many things. How to, get out of danger. Like if you ever get hurt, how to get out of that.
Because actually, I have to say, on that note, sorry to interrupt you, but his survival mode against Shane Mosley in that second round is one of the most remarkable things.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it enough. They talk about how good his chin was, but that shot, that right hand from Mosley lands. He does a little bit what you do, kind of sells the shot downstairs.
Yeah.
Right hand comes over the top, but in the same motion, Mayweather catches and pins his right arm so that he can't pull it back out, and then he ties him up. And the survival, given that he's not a guy that has to go into survival mode very often. In fact, that was the first time I think I've ever seen him in survival mode.
And that's where a lot of guys go wrong. They don't know how, like, when they get hurt, what to do, and they panic, and that's when you get knocked out, or you try to hold and you don't know how to hold, and then you get hit with unnecessary shots and they stop the fight, or you get up too fast, or things like that. People they don't prepare for that. They prepare for just going in there and trying to knock a guy out. They don't understand that a guy you are gonna get hit, and you got to know how to react when that happens.
So what is the key to stay calm?
Stay calm, and and you gotta meet Floyd Mayweather and ask him, because I can't.
It's trade secrets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been down 2 or 3 times in your career. What's it?
Not 2 or 3.
Well, 2 again. 2. Sorry.
2 or 3.
Sorry, I added the all 3 in case there was another one I'd forgotten. But, yeah. But in that moment, I guess you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you do. I think the times I was put down in the same fight twice, in the same round twice, and it was a strange sensation. And I remember it's different. So the Warrington fight, I'll come on to that in a wee minute, but when I get hit by Gonzalez, who put me down twice, my debut in America and stuff, I was going in, this big, tall, skinny kid, I'm expecting to blow him away, and he hits me, and it felt like, but just been shot. That's what it felt like. But it was okay, and I got up. In the Warrington fight, I'm talking about being able to react and know what to do. Warrington nailed me in the first round, and Warrington's not a noted puncher. I never, going into the fight, I knew it was going to be tough. I never thought he could hurt me. It doesn't really suggest in his record he could hurt me.
No.
And he nailed me. And the big mistake that I made was I stood and I fought instead of doing what you're talking about Mayweather, tying him up and holding on and survival tactics. My game plan went out the window. I stood and had a fight with him. It was like, it's real novice-y, childish stuff. And I'm a 2-weight world champion. I should know better. But it shows you that even at my stage, you make silly mistakes.
Yeah, just about learning from the mistakes, I guess, at this stage, isn't it? So talk to me about plans, because Teofimo Lopez, Richard Comey meeting December for the IBF. Lomachenko, it makes sense for him to wait for the winner of those two, and then the winner of that becomes undisputed at 135 pounds. In the meantime, you are going to sit and wait, but you're not. You're going to get out and get active. And there's talk this week about this KSI Logan Paul thing that's going on. Are you going to fight on that, do you think?
Yeah, well, in fact, it's looking like the interim title is bumping up to the world title. So that would be great, and I'm happy about that, because a lot of people had it confused, like I'm just looking for Lomachenko because, I don't like him, or he's just somebody who I just can't stand and I want Lomachenko and I'm just obsessed with him. No, that's not the thing. I want the belt. I want the belts, and he has the belts, so that's why I wanted to fight him. But you know, the WBC title is bumping up to the world title, so I'm happy about that. And it looks like November 9th, I'll be defending my world title when it happens.
Interesting. And what do you see as your like career weight? Do you think you'll stay at lightweight? Is there a limit for you? Would you go up to 140 perhaps? Because you're pretty tall. I mean, meeting you today is...
Yeah.
Looking at him, I thought initially, just when I seen you there today, I was thinking, because I had it in my head, like, you know, he's young, he's a lightweight now,
so.
how far can he go? But, you know, I was thinking when I seen you, when you walked up with me, this guy could easily be a welterweight right
That's
now.
what I thought.
That's why I said you're 130.
Yeah.
You're short. I was like, yeah.
We're trying to matchmake it. Carl doesn't want that.
But yeah, the 135-pound division is not easy for me to make at all. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of discipline. So I won't be at the 135-pound division. I'm happy that it's looking like I'm going to get a world title there, because I wanted a world title before I moved up. I didn't want to miss the 135-pound division and you know, skip the division to be a multi-weight, you know, a world champion. So I want to get a world title there. Maybe make like, you know, 1 or 2 defenses and then bump up to 140. Because by the end of 2020, be 140.
Okay, great. Yeah, because once you go up, it's very hard to go back down.
No, you can't really go back down, I don't think. But you've got the frame to go up a few weight divisions, possibly even light middleweight as well. You look at Canelo. Canelo's not a big guy.
Canelo's 5'9" like me, so I think I'm like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, he's just 5'9" wide as well. That's the problem. I guess with Floyd, the interesting thing about the stylistic comparisons is the from what I see anyway, is not the 147 Floyd. It's the 130 Floyd. That's the way you fight, the spitefulness of the jab, the shot selection, the aggression. But as he went up the weights, his power was less impactful, so he had to be more defensive. And that's when we saw more of the Philly shell, and we saw more about his defensive IQ. And I guess it correlated with, as he got older, he got smarter and wiser, so he became a technically better fighter and was able to compete at guys who probably naturally a little bit bigger than he was.
Yeah, I think that's, you have to adapt as your career goes on. Like Devin, 20 years old, he doesn't know what the future holds for him, and you know, I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. There's guys will potentially be talked about, you know, there may be mega fights for him in the near future with other superstars who haven't even turned pro yet. So you don't know what the future is going to hold, but you just have to adapt, and obviously as he gets older, the prime example of someone changing their style, Mayweather is one, but the prime example of someone changing their style as they get older is Bernard Hopkins, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he's a quality fighter, most exciting fighter, turned into this defensive genius then towards the end, slowed everything down, and used to old man people.
Yeah.
He's still a long way off that yet.
Yeah, a long way off. I mean, James Toney's another one that comes to mind, but they always say that the best fighters with the most sound fundamentals are the ones that can carry on after some of the physical attributes have maybe deteriorated. So once that raw speed that you have now, which at some point in your life will go, it might be when you're 33, it could be when you're 36, at that point, that's when, how good are your fundamentals? What do you actually have in terms of boxing?
And I think that's what happened with Roy Jones. I think he relied on like being
So
athletic
much.
and speed in the beginning of his career, and so when he slowed down, guys started catching him, and that's when he started losing, because he lost his speed and his athleticism.
Yeah, so unorthodox that once that speed goes, much easier to read and to react to. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you. Whatever happens in the next 6 months to a year, it's been exciting to watch the journey so far, and looking forward to seeing your success. World titles are there without a shadow of a doubt for this guy.
I completely agree, and I'm as excited as the rest of the boxing world about seeing what unfolds.
Good man. Well, listen, I know you're jet lagged and you've got a flight to catch in a couple of days' time, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay. Before you go, we have a section of our show that we're going to do with you. This is the 32-second challenge with 32 Reds. So I'm just going to list you some words I've got written down, and I want you to say the first thing that comes into your head, okay? But it's like quick. It's like quick and sharp, okay? So I need you on the ball. Okay. Your dad.
Love.
Mexico.
Boxing.
Missing out on the Olympics.
Mad.
YouTube.
KSI.
Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Floyd Jr.
Ryan Garcia.
Massive fight.
Teofimo Lopez.
Liar.
Lomachenko.
Belts.
Luke Campbell.
UK.
Eddie Hearn.
Great promoter.
Best person you've ever sparred?
Floyd.
Oh, it took him a while. Who
I was thinking.
was the other one? Who was the other one? Who else was in the running? Who else was it?
I don't know.
Okay. Money or legacy?
Both.
Okay, I'll give
Good
you that.
answer. And that's the right answer.
It is the right answer, yeah. And boxing.
Love again.
Good man. Devin Haney, absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Well, another episode of TKO done and dusted. Our thanks to Devin Haney for taking the time to join us. Thank you at home, as always, for listening and watching, and we'll see you same time, as always, next week.
You've been watching TKO on Joe, together with 32 Red.